All right, guys. Scott Russell, Football Scoop. Thank you again for joining us. Very excited to get these clinics going. Day 3 for us. It's a new world, guys. And this the sharing that we've seen the past couple of days has been inspiring, honestly. I love how the coaches in this profession are willing to help each other learn, grow, become better mentors for young men. So excited about this. Doug Samuels, our content manager, who's also a head high school football coach up in the great state of Michigan, has been leading our effort. With that, I'll turn it over to Doug and get us going. Thanks, bud.
Hey, thanks, Scott. Just a few reminders. I want to give Coach Davis as much time here as we can. But like Scott just touched on, keep your microphones muted as much as we can here. But with that, Nick Davis is going to take over. He's going to talk movements and stunts to stop RPOs. He's a defensive coordinator at Rose-Hulman. All yours, Nick.
All right, thank you, guys. Let's keep this going. I want to show as much film as possible. Hopefully it is not choppy today. Here's all my contact information. I'll throw this up there at the end. But any questions you have for me, let me know. Let's get going. So I just wanted to show you a little bit. We are a primarily 70% cover one man match, 4-man rush team. So we saw in the last 5 years, 564 RPOs. Most of those, because of our leverage, are going to be runs, and that's why we like what we do. So 432 of those were run plays for an average of 3.9 yards per run. 132 of those were pass plays for an average of 3.7 yards per play. We've had 4 sacks, 4 interceptions, and 7 fumbles in the last 5 years on those concepts. Only 8 touchdowns have been scored against us, and most of those have actually come from the 1 or the 2 yard line on runs. But what I think's pretty impressive is only 58 completions of the 132 pass plays. And there's been 15 explosive plays over 20 yards, and then 160 plays for 0 or negative yards. So I always like to start off by worst case scenario. So this is the longest run in 5 years RPO for us. This is against Mount Union this season, one of the best teams in the nation this year, historically the best program in Division III. And it goes for 57 yards. And big reason is just kids missing tackles, we fit right. 43 was a freshman for us. He's got to squeeze this down a little bit harder. He's square, but just missing tackles. I don't think it's the scheme that goes for 57 yards. It's the fact that they were way better than us, and our kids didn't make a play. So that's the worst thing that's going to happen to you in the run game. All these plays today are all going to be runs. I have a cut up later with Football Summit. You can go to my Twitter. That's going to be all passes in the RPO. But for the most part, just prefacing this, because we play so much man-free, the ball is going to be handed off. But one of the things we really like, and I'm going to show stuff from a 3-man front, a 4-man front. There might be some 5-man fronts on here and 6-down front on here. So there's going to be something for everyone in terms of a front and movement. One of the basic fronts we'll get into is a 3-down front, and we're going to bring our stack linebacker to the B gap to the tailback. So this is a call for us where we've pre-snap negotiated that whatever stack guy to the tailback is coming. We like this against zone run because now it closes off that backside cutback. Now, this kid was a heck of a player for us, all-conference kid, I think the best linebacker in the league for a few years. But him timing up his blitz, I think, is really tough for this tackle to block on a zone scheme. And we'll show that. Timing it up, hitting the B gap. So for us, our rule, all right, this is a 4-letter movement for us. Our Bob rushes the B gap. Our DNs, no matter where they started, are going to end up as C gap players, and our nose guard will work opposite. So we love this versus zone. We love this versus pass. It's kind of really good for us. So same thing now. Now we're going to get zone to the boundary, 3-by-1. We play outside leverage inner man coverage out on number 2. Corners have the ability to press or play off. And then our high safety is reading the mesh of the quarterback. So he kind of sees the mesh and he slows his roll a little bit. If he saw the quarterback drop back or 3-step, then he's going to get more in a tempo pedal. But if this guy times it up, sometimes it's like stealing because he's got momentum and this tackle sit right there in his stance. And then my linebackers just were a one-gap defense. This guy's got kind of a bad read. He needs to be fitting this A-gap, and you can see this linebacker's coming downhill. Our C-gap defender in this movement just surfs, and he's the quarterback player. Once the ball's handed, he can come help out on the tailback there. So we also have the option in this concept to bring our middle stack, our Will. So people for us are Bob, our Will, our Mike. This is our field defensive end, our nose guard, our tackle. So they have the option based on coverage or just to mix it up, still bringing a guy to the tailback side. They just determine, let's bring our Will now, all right? So our Will is going to go to the tailback side. This happens to be like an RPO zone slant over here. So now my linebacker sees the mesh. He goes, because he knows he's the quarterback player in the run, sees the quarterback go to pass, drops back in coverage, and then he adds in, and we get the 2-yard gain here, but we've covered up an explosion play on the slant. Everyone's fitting their window. We're bringing our linebacker to the tailback. Our D-ends are C-gap to players. Our nose is fighting hard across, getting his gap. This is 43's gap. He's the quarterback player if the quarterback pulls. So he's kind of a little bit in conflict, but we'll take a 2-yard scramble rather than the tailback carrying the football or the quarterback throwing it. And this guy just won a national championship this year. This was his freshman year. I'll take him around the ball for 2 yards versus him throwing it any day. So now, all right, here is a 4-letter movement, and we're bringing a guy away from the tailback. Here's just a bluff operation. 47 showing like he's coming outside. Our linebackers are checked. Now 47 is going to come away from the tailback, right? So we have something in our arsenal that tells the linebackers, hey, it's a 4-letter word. It has a W in it. All right, the word starts with an A. All right, our call essentially for this play is away, and they'll determine what stack guy will blitz away from the tailback. So we'll show the end zone here. We've seen all kinds of funky things with the zone scheme of putting some guys in conflict, people worried about getting to the next level or zone lock. That 98 just becomes an unblocked player when we move him and 47 goes away from the tailback. So that's been pretty good for us as well. Here's the same concept. We're going to bring a stack backer away from the tailback. Here we're bringing our Bob linebacker to the B gap. We got a quarters concept going on. The last clip was a quarters concept as well. So you can run any of this with man free or match quarters. Here's outside zone. And 42 is not necessarily fitting this up correctly. He's being a good ball player. So let me go back to the end zone with that, sorry. Oh, we don't have the end zone, sorry. So 42 is supposed to be rushing the B gap. His B gap is closed. He goes to the next gap. All right, if the guard happened to come back on him, 47 will make him right. That's my C-gap defender, and 18's a little horny for the pass. He needs to be fit in his run gap. All right, this kid was a great athlete, not necessarily awesome at his reads, linebacker reads, and he's just reading this guard. Guard shoulder is what we'll talk to these guys about. He sees that guard shoulder down and out. He should be flying down. And we talk to these guys about on a run play, in our man coverage, we have 60 linemen at the line of scrimmage immediately. So now, here's an example of us bringing, maybe we don't know the scheme, whether the tailback is going to same side or opposite side. Here's us bringing both stack linebackers to the B gap. So this guy shows it early. This guy's going to hit it on the snap. Here we're playing a 5-man rush cover 1 defense. And what we'll tell this guy is you just need to be inside out the tailback so he doesn't outrun you. Because we're playing man coverage and they're now in a 12 personnel look, 31, all right, is a run first player. And my safety over there is a run first player. So if you're going to add extra 2 tight ends to the game, we're going to add extra 2 run defenders. So here's the end zone shot of that one. Again, just bringing both stack guys to the B gap. He's got the tailback and man if it was a pass. And then my overhang defenders have the tight ends and man coverage. They also are D gap fitters in the run. So now, here is just a 3-man rush version. So now we'll tell our nose guard either to work to the field or the boundary by game plan. But again, it's going to look potentially like we were bringing our Mike linebacker on a blitz. He's just triggering though. All 3 of these guys are in a 3-man rush version of this. This team, I believe, pulls the tackle, wraps the tackle around. So one adjustment that we have is if you pull the tackle, this guy will chase. All right. Our linebackers read the guards. This linebacker reads the center. If we're not rushing a 3rd or a 4th rusher, these guys read the tackle. So if the tackle pulls, 30's chasing. I'd like 42 to be more patient because he's the quarterback player on a pull here. So he needs to stay back and then come over the top late. But 47 needs to be tight to his gap. And we dent or spill, all right, all pullers, which is going to keep, all right, 42 wrapping around nice and tight. But if you're not reading 30 and pulling this, we're going to tackle this every time in the backfield out of our 3-man rush. So here's a clip of we get into some, we'll see some unique formations, people trying to get leverage for the RPOs. So here's a 2-3 stack. We're just going to play an in and out in our man free here. So these guys, he's got the first thing out, he's got the first thing in. And again, this is just the 3-man rush version against a zone run. This guy's reading his guard. His guard's down. He's flying. He hits his window on the run through. I'd like this guy to be more aggressive on his surf close down because he's giving this guy some space. All right, if his shoulders were more square to line of scrimmage. But I love this clip because everyone right now is at the line of scrimmage. I have 6 defensive linemen, essentially. So one thing that we like as an adjustment off of that is our pick stunt. So here we're going to come down and our linebacker is going to pick to the tailback side. So he's going to come down and he's going to pick for our nose guard to the tailback side. So the coaching point here is he's aiming for this center shoulder to blast him. Our nose guard is going to wrap around. Now that linebacker is going to be the A-gap player, all right, over here on the opposite side and backdoor it. As my nose guard is the A-gap player on the opposite side. Here's an adjustment for us where we can just get into, we have a 4-eye, a shade, a 5. Then because the rules on the play, This guy knows this is 4-letter word for us. All right. This is called part. We're going to pick to the A. He knows on a 4-letter that he needs to be a C-gap defender. So pick the center, wrap your nose. And what's been good for us is on run is our pick guy usually penetrates and creates havoc. Or if they double team him, now you have your nose guard free. Just keep him nice and tight around the corner. And on 1st and 10 on an RPO, it goes for 1 yard. And the nice thing about this was this guy out here, one of these guys was the best receiver in the conference this year. And he was averaging 12 yards a catch. So we've taken him out of the scheme and we've made them hand the ball off. Now here is a pick away from the tailback. So we call this pawn, all right, for pick away. Pawn has a W, so bring it away from the tailback. Same coaching point. He's going to aim for this center shoulder. This is outside zone. Aim for that center shoulder. My nose guard's going to wrap. Once you've targeted the shoulder, you backdoor the other gap. This kid just becomes a ball player right now. You'll see it from the end zone clip. Again, we're targeting the shoulder. Working, and this is outside zone, wide zone. Working upfield. 92, wrapping across. 47 is my B-gap player out here. And we put this O-lineman in conflict. So RPOs are meant to put the defense in conflict. We put the offensive lineman in conflict here. What do? Do I break my rules and block back on 92 or keep my eyes to my gap on 47? He kind of has no idea what to do, and we put that guy in conflict. 93, he's got to do a better job of not getting reached. Because if we don't create havoc, they have the edge here. So then we have the option, okay, if they're an 11 personnel team, all right, that was 10 personnel thoughts. If they're an 11 personnel team, now let's bring our stack backer, all right, to the tight end, to the Y. So I believe the tight end is over here to the field. So we're going to bring our stack backer, all right, to the Y. This is a gap scheme, so we'll see it from the end zone here. So this guy is going to the Y in the B gap. Right. This linebacker's triggering. This guy's fitting his gap. Now, this isn't a great clip because he is keying out of it. He just needs to fit his gap. The will linebacker is reading the guard. He's going to make him right, so he's doing a nice job there. But we do a nice job spilling. No one's able to get to my stack guy. He's unblocked. And we got him there for a 0-yard run. So here again is bringing your stack linebacker to the Y, all right, the tight end, we call that in our system. This for us, we call this a Yeti, all right? So it's for the Y. It's got, Yeti has a T in the word, so it's to the Y. And then our D linemen all know the rules. And I did a podcast on USA Football about kind of our system of our fronts and our movements. So that's a good listen. Here this year we were a 3-4, so we fell back when the tight end went across. So now 40, he's got the tailback or the tight end in man, and we were falling back into gaps. Now that we're more of a 3-3-5, we will handle the Y off with our safeties post snap. So if we were last season, both of them reading the Y. When he goes backdoor, this guy triggers. That's the post player. Is one way we'll handle it. Or we will say, hey, you travel with, and you're a post player. So on the snap, this guy will travel with the Y off. So that's two ways we handle it. In the 3-4, I think it's easier, so you don't involve one of your linebackers being a post player. You fall back in the gaps. So here it is again, our stack backer to the Y. Our nose guard goes opposite. We're just seeing zone here. And then there is my C-gap quarterback defender. Because he's nice and tight, watching what's going on, my quarterback player is able to make the play on the dive when it cuts back. I think a lot of that's because I brought the stack guy, so now 65 hasn't traveled more distance to get up to a different technique. So here it is again. So if it is this was an 11 personnel team, so we were gonna bring our stack guy to the Y. The Y, this was the Y, all right? They're lined up in a 20 personnel formation, but this was their tight end. So we're bringing our stack guy to the Y. On the motion, we just bump this, all right? And they are gonna have a in and out read of 2 and 3 is one option. We can also just play man out there. And then again, this safety is watching really for 4 things. He's watching mesh of the quarterback, slow your roll because it's RPO or run. And we talked to our guys about a real mesh. Is there's bend in the knees. It's a great mesh, all right? Because a lot of people run 4 verticals and run a little token fake. If we get that case, hey, speed up, you're probably getting 4 verts or some sort of shot. So if there's any sort of mesh, he slows his roll. The quarterback catches the ball, and it's 5-step. Now he's tempo pedaling based off quarterback's vision. If it's 3-step, he's slowing his roll and his pedal a little bit. And if it's quarterback run, he's coming downhill right now because he's essential in our fit, because he's got to be the extra fitter. So again, all right, this was in our 3-4. We're going to bring a guy to the Y. This is 18's gap in our 3-4. And then against the zone lock stuff, this is tough because it kind of puts this guy in conflict. He should be blocking the nose guard. He doesn't, which is good for us. We're able to get a nice TFL there. So here is 4 letters to the Y again. And then we'll just live with it. If they shift, we'll follow pullers. So this is pretty cloudy from the end zone shot, but all right, we're going to get a GT scheme here. So he's coming down. He's my B-gap player. Because he timed up his rush, he's actually going to take out the G and make the T bubble a little bit when this guy was my dent guy. So we end up really with 2 dent players. If the tailback came over the top, we should have a linebacker 3 unblocked. This kid was a freshman. He just needs to be more aggressive here. He's trying to make the play, trying to box it. We're a spill team. And then I got my linebackers over the top coming back. So here is now a pick, all right? A pick to the Y. So now we're picking. There's the Y. There's my stack guy. He's picking to the Y. You see the end zone shot here. Again, we're in a front. We're in a 5, a shade, a 4-eye to the boundary. And again, I'll send you guys this presentation. It's going to be on YouTube, so you'll be able to see it. But I'll send you guys the huddle link so you can slow it down and watch some of this stuff if it's choppy, guys. Again, he's got to be tighter here. And he would be my spill guy if this guard came to him. So he's inside the puller. He's outside of the puller. And then the pick guy gets through and gets in on the tackle for a 1-yard gain. So here is now a pick away from the Y. So we're bringing this guy. We're picking away from the Y. This is great against counter. Now, I didn't guess this. I'm not they're going to run counter here. I knew that this team liked to run power and counter. But we're just guessing, right? But here's a pick away from the Y. I'm a huge believer in running as much stuff that is good against everything. So these things are pretty good against RPO, but they're also going to be good against just runs. They're going to be good against just passes. So I think that's something that's good in our system. I'm not being like, okay, on the 35-yard line, they're going to run counter, so we need to run our pick away. We'll see what the tendency on what percentage this guy goes back to know if we want to run our pick away from the Y. You can see 97 comes nice and tight because the linebackers are flowing over the top. He's able to make a nice play, slow him down for a 1-yard gain. So here is just a, we're going to bring our one linebacker to the C gap, all right, to the tailback. Or excuse me, we're going to bring a linebacker to the tailback side, all right? And this is 3-letter for us. So 3-letter tells our defensive linemen no matter where they start, they're going to finish in the B gap. So we're bringing a backer to the tailback. 43 and 42 are C gap defenders. So this is kind of our way to get to the Iowa State tight front stuff. This was in 2015. Now our alignment of our linebackers, when we get in this stuff, we will sugar to it once this guy is unraveled, and we'll get a little bit better angle to the C gap. I think this is tough for 43, his angle. So again, here is a 3-letter movement. We're bringing a guy to the tailback, the A. So this for us is an art. All right, art has 3 letters. It has an A in it. It has a T. Bring the guy to the A. We'll see the shot here. So this guy, these guys will both become B gap hitters. Our nose is going to work opposite. 43 owns the C. 45 now, because it's essentially a bare front, he's going to tempo the tailback. '52's got the quarterback if he were to pull it. I'd like his shoulders more square. We're able to get a 0-yard run here. I like 45 to be more physical to his gap here. So now here's a 6-man rush. We are playing a, we're going to peel in the tailback here. And we are playing a hot cover 3 concept. You're not going to really see the coverage, all right, but this is that Michigan State, all right, coach 2 concept here. Russian 6. We'll spill it to the overhangs is the plan. Speed up here. So this for us is called BMW. It's 3 letters. B gap player, B gap player. BMW has a B, an M, and a W, so all 3 linebackers come. Everybody owns a gap. And we'll backdoor this if you get a down block. So that way, all right, 92 can be my dive player, and 18 can be the QB guy. So here is a 3-man rush out of our 3-letter package. So this for us is called a, show the wide for the DB guys. We're playing a Tampa 2 concept down here in the red zone. So this for us is called nut, all right, because it nut has an N, does not have a W, a M, or a B in it. So we know we are not rushing, all right, a linebacker. He's my B gap player, all right, nose, all right, 47 will make the nose right. 50 is a B-gap player. 43 should spill this, all right, because we're playing cover 2 and we have a corner sitting there waiting for this. I have my Tampa 2 safety coming down, all right, if we mess up our fit. And then our high safety coming off the shelf once you've identified that it is run. So there's my corner. That's my high safety. And my Tampa 2 guys coming late into the picture over here. So we like that down in the red zone. Here's the same concept against GT. Quarterback tries to pull. All right. My stacked linebacker would be the QB player here. And we cause a fumble. We don't have the end zone, so I'll replay the wide of this for you guys. B-gap players. These are my C-gap defenders. We're in our Iowa State stuff. Here we're just playing man coverage, our match cover 1. This guy would need to spill this. All right, come in here like a banshee and spill this. But when we will tell our guy that when the tackle pulls that he should go tackle the tailback, we should get a pull every time, all right? Now, they're college football players. They don't always listen. So Hanover killed us a few times on the GT because we never got the guy to come chase the tackle. So here, again, same thing, 3-letter, 3-man rush. This is a nut for us. We're getting the bubble. Quarterback pulls it. And then we got the best guy on our defense as our C-gap defender. Going to get a hit on the QB on 2nd and 6 for 1 yard. Same thing. Now we just have one stack guy outside the box. So this guy's a 4-eye, a 0 and a 5. And he's our C-gap defender. This was really good against stretch. You're never going to get the edge against this. So he's just kind of tempo into his gap, falling back to the tailback. And then you just get guys to run on the backside. They were trying to run stretch with a slant over here. So this guy was a C-gap defender. That guy's a B-gap defender for us in this concept. You can see 47 hesitate because he's an unblocked player, so he's got the quarterback on a pull. Sees the ball's handed, and he's there to get a stop for 1 yard. So here is 3 letters to the tight end. Go to the end zone shot. I am running out of time, I think. Yep. I got about 15 more minutes. So we're bringing the stack linebacker to the Y. It's our 3-letter movement rule. 43 is my C-gap player over here. We're rushing 42, so he's the C-gap defender over there. 42 would have the QB, so you can see him going to surf. And then 47 is a D lineman right now. We're able to get a 1 yard gain there on 1st and 10. So here's just pre-snap. We will shift. So we started in a 4 down front. We're shifting. So after we shift, now we're going to bring 3-letter to the Y. The Y is over here. So this linebacker, this for us is called a yet. All right. To the Y. All right. For the Y, to the Y, 3 letters. These are my linebackers. Here we're playing a quarters concept to the field. So here's my extra run defender. He's got him in pass. We're playing a cloud defense to the boundary. So there's my corner, like a trap. So this for us is thumb. So we'll yell in thumb. It tells us line up however you want. But before the ball is snapped, get into a 3 down front. And then we tag whatever movement we want. So 51 by rule is he's a B-gap defender. All right. He felt that his guy was down and he wasn't going to be able to cross his face, so he'll backdoor this. So we end up with an extra guy to dent 51. 47 gets blocked out. Our corner realizes that 47's out, so you're going to see the corner try to fit in. Now, I need to be better with our linebackers telling him the coverage so he knows, hey, I can knife in on this, and the corner's the D-gap defender. There's my B-gap defender over there. 46 has the tackle, so he's the quarterback player. Once he sees the ball is handed, 46 becomes a bonus guy. And we're able to get a 0-yard run there. So our next step is we'll go 6-letter. So 6-letter for us tells us that to the side the linebacker is coming. You're a B-gap player. You work opposite. You're the C-gap player. We are doing this in pistol. We'll choose based on a tendency. Where do they normally open up to? This week we figured that they opened up to the boundary more often, to the field. So we call this 6 letters to the A. This would be called atomic for us. All right, it's for the A. It's to the A. It has 6 letters. And, here's GT. We're playing quarters concept over here, which we're actually playing a trap coverage to the boundary. So we're in a great call. Or excuse me, we're not. We're playing, they're reading the release of number 1. So corner owns this guy and my safety's fitting. We're in the best case call for the GT. This is our Bob linebacker, just getting in a 4-point stance. So he's going to come dent the GT. 47's plugging his gap. 46 plugging his gap. 47 is chasing his gap. 59, all right, should have the tailback. And we're asking a lot, but 53 is the QB player in this scheme, all right? So we're asking this guy a lot, but I would rather at the end of the day the quarterback run the football than the tailback on the GT. And then a lot of times they have RPO options, like this case, so he's probably going to pull it, run out to the perimeter, and throw it. So now we'll do the same thing. We'll do 6-letter movements away from the Y. So we're bringing this guy off the edge, away from the Y. D-gap player, work opposite, D-gap defender. We are playing our match coverage, so he's involved as a D-gap run fitter. Here's the end zone shot of this. There's my C-gap guy working opposite B-gap player. There's my C-gap defender. 52, that's his gap. He's plugging. 46 is wrapping. Creating a lot of chaos there. Here is, I'm going to just move on so we can get to some of the 4-down stuff. Again, I'll send this. This was 6-letter to the Y. 6-letter to the Y. That was a shift for us. So 5-letter rule for us is essentially the same thing as our 6-letter rule, but this guy is going to long stick, so get down to the A gap. So this is pretty good against zone. So everyone's doing the same thing as 6-letter, but this guy is going down to the A gap. 46 fitting opposite. Here's another better clip of them just not blocking this guy in his own scheme. So he's going to cross face. This is how we can get to our America's blitz. They're trying to give a lot of presence on the shade. All right, combo, you combo. We're going to put you in conflict. All right, so here is 4-down. So we'll just take our linebacker, and he becomes a 5 technique. So one thing I really like is double 3 techniques and double 2 eyes. Just because you're not gonna, the offense doesn't see it every week against the run. So I'm going to be all that 3 down you just saw. I'm going to be double 3s. I'm going to be double 2 eyes. Yes, we can get in our traditional 2 and our 3, but you guys practice against that offensive guys every day of the week, all right? So I want you to waste all week practicing against double 3s, double 2 eyes, all of our odd stuff. I don't think there's enough time in the week for you guys to practice all that. So this is an RPO counter. Here's our linebacker filling this, taking 2. Here's the post snap read from our safeties. We call this a wobble. So they're wobbling the wing. Boom. You take him. You're the post player. You can see he's kind of slowing his roll. He probably should have more just because this was the #1 offense in the nation and they were really good at throwing the ball. He should be hauling his butt up high here. But I think he realizes that it was RPO. So our double 3, here's just a tackle movement for us. So we call this a turkey, just a simple. So we're double 3s, but our tackle is going to exchange gaps. We're able to get a nice TFL there. Here we are in our, we have a 3 to the field. Our nose is to the boundary. This is a Norway for us, so it's just a simple nose exchanging in a gap. Nothing crazy. Everyone in the nation does this. So here we had a concept where we were playing trap quarters. So that guy became our extra QB guy. This QB was pretty athletic. Here is both guys exchanging. Here we're in double 3 techniques. I'll just show you the end zone here. Both guys exchange. Nothing crazy. Everyone in the nation does this. I think one nice thing, confuse these guys a little bit, and we end up with 2 on the quarterback here when he pulls it. Here's both guys exchanging again. Here's a counter play. There's us denting it. Everyone owning their leverage. And gain of 1 there. Here is everyone pinching across the board in our 4 down. Here we're playing cover 2 with our corners. So everyone is pinching. My linebackers need to sugar out. They're confused. Sugar outside to be the C-gap defender. This is perfect technique. If your guy goes down, you can backdoor it. So you can now chase the dive or spill. And 52 would then be the free guy. But because we're playing cover 2, 47 is my C-gap defender, and now we got an extra fitter here. They're on the run. Here is our middle pick. So our interior guys are going to pick the center now. Both are aiming for the center. The center shows up. 51 should bash him. 53 is going to work behind. This isn't great by 51, but he feels like he's got penetration. So he just goes. And then they'll exchange the A-gap. So we like this in short yardage situation, and it's been pretty good to us. Here's another clip. This is actual better clip of them both targeting the center. The guard pushes this guy through against the zone. And then again, everyone fitting their gaps. We're spilling the wing. 14 is my D-gap defender out here. 42 doesn't need to be spinning inside. Just stay in your gap. Here is a nose twist. So nose first, tackle second versus run. Got about 6 minutes. So nose is going first. Tackle is looping. Linebackers fit their gap. So we like this week against them for pass, but it just showed up on 1st and 10. So it was a good call, not only for pass, but it was also a nice call for RPO. And I would say the tackle's just got to come tighter here to the gap. That's one thing that we got to constantly be working on. Here it is again against zone. Here's the end zone shot, again from outer space. Bad film week for our film coordinator. We are playing quarters out here to the field on number 1 and a quarters concept to the boundary. Again, I'll share more of that at my pass clinic later this afternoon. So here's 5 down front. For us, how we get to this, we call this beat. All of our 5 down fronts are named after vegetables. So the vegetable tells the D lineman where to go. So beat, go to the B gap. So our Bob and our Mike will then be our C gap defenders. Against an attached tight end, we will go and be a D gap player. So this is a safety for us. Then our will linebacker will line up over the tailback. You can see we're wobbling the H here. He's going to have the H. There's my post player. This is corners over. So that's actually our boundary corner, our guy, because that was their best receiver. So he rolled with this guy the whole entire game. And then this is our field corner on their number 2 receiver. But just a nice clip of 42, squeezing it. All right. Knows that he's not being read here. The quarterback opens the other direction. This is actually going to be pretty dangerous for us because he's not going to be able to go make that easy TFL. But my 2 D linemen, here are my linebackers. We're spilling here. You're the C-gap defender, so you either quarterback, get your eyes to the mesh. The quarterback isn't reading me. Go take it, all right? And then we got to talk to this guy about being disciplined because there's no reason the quarterback can't reverse out offensive guys as you're thinking right now and hurt you. So we got to be disciplined. Our offense actually runs that version. So we see it a little bit in practice. Here it is again. Our 5 – oh, the same clip, sorry. And then here's 6 down versus a zone run. So here we are playing our match 1 coverage. If this was a pass, these guys would be dropping out. But we treat it no differently if it's a run. It's just everyone fit your gap. So you're going to see these guys being a little bit hesitant for us. All of our 6 down fronts are named after fruits. So Apple tells us to put our Mike and our Will in the A gap. That's our Bob linebacker. This is actually our younger guys at the end of a game. 93 is our QB player here. 51 needs to own his gap. But on Sunday, we're telling them, hey, that's a heck of a play, and we're moving on pretty quickly. If this becomes consistent and it hurts us, then we're kind of ripping them. Here is 6 down, so this is a tempo call for us. So this offense was going pretty quick on 2nd and 1. We tempoed to our 6 down front, which is easy for us. We'll just yell out shoulder. They get lined up. We get outside zone here. We're playing cover 0 with our DB, so he owns the tailback and man. And 54, all right, he's our force player in our man coverage stuff, so he's getting reached, which is not good. But luckily, they're not running RPOs to the field. So those guys are able to add in, which I think is the nice thing. If you're just seeing traditional run, I love this coverage. Well, they are running RPO, but they're lazy with it. They know, hey, Rose Holman's playing man. They're not going to we're not going to throw this ball. So once they become lazy, then my guys add in. The last things that I was just going to show, I didn't know if I had time. This is yoke for us, so we'll set our Bob to the tight end. Here's our 3 technique. We'll go to the tight end, and our 2-eye goes away. So this is just normal. Here we're banjoing the fullback. All right, we're wobbling the fullback. Fullback is there. 26 needs to be my post defender. a 2-yard run, but I'll take it against Mount Union because these dudes are pretty good. Anytime you can stop them for 2 yards is awesome. You can see 52 going to spill this. And then my post safety coming down. Last clip here is we're playing quarters. Here we have a trap 2 concept out here. This is my run defender in the quarters concept, but we put the 3 to the tight end. Here's sweep. And not all these are necessarily the quarterback is reading to throw, but at pre-snap alignment, if we weren't playing man and we were apex here, they're going to throw that bubble every time. So he knows because of the cover 2 concept of the boundary that he doesn't need to be the D-gap defender. He can come inside and be the C-gap guy. Guard takes my corner out, which is not bad because they're wasting a really good blocker, blocking our probably worst run defender, which frees up some linebackers unblocked to come over the top. Here was just a clip of us. You'll see from the end zone, we were 3 down, and we're shifting to our yoke front. Here is us shifting to our eyed front, which is double 2 eyes. I like this versus zone because it puts this guy in conflict, and 45's unblocked here. Here's the eyed front again, no movement, double 2 eyes. These guys are B-gap defenders. There's our spill or our dent. There's 31 being the D-gap defender. There's my post safety, working to the post, see what's going on, and then coming down. Able to get a 2-yard gain there. Here's just double 3s, no moving. We have a 7 technique on the tight end. You can see we're wobbling. This is corners, or excuse me, this was 12 personnel. This is our corner. So they're both wobbling this guy. He inserts in, so he fits. He's my post player, but because he's a corner, he's not used to it. So he adds on, which is nice for this concept. And on 3rd and 3, we stop him there for a 2-yard gain. So what questions everybody got?
Yeah, great stuff, Nick. I've got a couple. We got a handful of questions. I'll bring up a couple here that I picked out. Do you have any movements or stunts you really like against tight O-line splits?
Yes. So I would like the pick stuff against if everyone's tight across the board. I like the pick stuff against the tight splits just because now it's going to be even easier for that guard to block the picker, and we're going to loop around with that penetrator. Now, if the tackle picks him up, then our 5 techniques squeezing nice and tight. I would like, if everyone's tight across the board, probably our 3 letter movement. So our defensive ends are B-gap players. So now we have 2 B-gap players. Our nose guard's going to be an A-gap guy, and our will make the other A-gap right if they're going to be super tight. So those are just 2 things and 3 down I like.
Gotcha. What have you found most effective, pre or post snap line movement?
Both. I think there is a place, like we'll play one team that lines up in pistol every play. They'll clap their hands and they'll move their tail back. So against that team, we want to shift really as much as possible. So I think that changes the picture, especially from 4 down to 3 down world. So if there's any offensive guys in here, and O-line guys know, and I coached offense for the first 3 years here, so that's why I've created such a mayhem for coordinators. I'm sorry. But it changes your rules. Now you have to recommunicate with your guys. So I think pre-snap movement is great, and then post-snap movement's great too, out of the odd, because it changes the pictures. You might have a deuce working to one certain technique. Now your linebacker's firing down, and you either got to block them or come off the double team. So I think both are essential, especially if you're a 3 down.
Gotcha. How are you, just real quick, what's your favorite way to drill this kind of stuff during practice?
We do a lot of movement on cans. So we'll signal, we'll have 2 groups out, 2 sets of cans. We'll signal, we'll have an A and a Y. in case we want to do a certain scheme to the tailback or the Y. And we go through it. Our ones and our twos will go up at the same time. Our threes and our fours are right behind them. So once the ones and twos go, boom, the threes and the fours go. We can either run the same play or we'll run a different play. But we'll get about in 10 minutes, probably 40 reps of the different things that we do. And it's something we have to do every day because we're 3 and 4 down. So that's the expensive part of it, is we constantly have to practice it. But once the kids learn the system, it becomes pretty easy.
Right. I like the way you've set up kind of vocabulary wise, how it makes it easy for guys. When you're going through that drill stuff, is that a 50% period, 75% as a game speed? What's your approach?
Yeah, so early on, like, we'll walk through it, walk through tempo. When we're out on the field in practice, that's 100% like going through their gaps. So I don't want them thinking, and that's why we film it and we'll grade it. And we'll actually make depth chart adjustments early on in camp based off of what the kid graded out, because I always tell them, if you can't run our stuff correctly, even if you're the best guy, it does us no good, because we're a one-gap defense. We need everyone to be on the same page. So there are certain days, maybe the 2 grades out higher than the 1, and we say, hey, the 2s today are 1 defense, and obviously the 1s kind of step up.
Real quick, what's your coaching points for your head up nose and your pick technique?
Yeah, so if the picker isn't on the line of scrimmage right now, okay, like if you don't feel he's on the line of scrimmage or you don't see him coming, I want you to step opposite, jab opposite, and wait for him to come pick the center so you can wrap. If that guy's on the line of scrimmage right now, I want you to just allow, all right, we say like tee him up. So punch that center and the chest away from the pick to tee him up a little bit. And now our picker, all right, just like a golf tee, is bashing that ball off the tee and our nose wraps.
Gotcha. There's a couple other really good questions here. We only have time to get through so much. So coaches, I encourage you guys to reach out to Coach Davis. He's got all of his contact information here. Reach out to him. I know we could do a whole clinic on the dent technique and things like that. So, if you have questions on that, reach out to Coach Davis, and really appreciate you taking the time, Nick, to hop on with us, talk some ball, man.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thanks a lot. Again, if you need this presentation, ask for a huddle request. I'll send it to you so you can sit down and watch it. I'm trying to get through 50 plays in 50 minutes, so I was going pretty fast. But hopefully you got the main parts of why we do things, and then I'll send you the film so you can kind of break it down and kind of adjust it.